Hello and welcome to Shot Clock Scribbles. Today is Saturday, the 24th, Memorial Day weekend. I hope you all enjoy your 3-day weekend. If you have it, I am your host, and today we have a jam-packed episode breaking down the conference finals and reacting to the end of season awards. It's about 10 a.m. here in the city of trees of Sacramento, California. Both conference finals have taken some unexpected turns. The OKC Thunder have jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the West, and the Indiana Pacers have done the same in the East. We'll dive into the storylines, standout performers, unsung heroes, defensive schemes, and the coaching chess matchups in both of these series, and what those honors tell us about this season's trends with minimal media fluff, of course. I'm trying something different this time, so I hope you guys like it. Would love some feedback. You guys can send that over my way. Grab your popcorn or maybe your stat sheets and let's get into it. Let's start out in the West as we always do. The Western Conference Finals feature two of the youngest teams in the NBA. The OKC Thunder lead 2-0 over the Minnesota Timberwolves. They've done it in style, winning games 1 and 2 at home in OKC. This matchup is a clash between the Thunder's up-tempo disruptive style and the Timberwolves' athletic half-court game. Let's break down what we've seen so far. First things first is SGA's MVP. First things first, SGA's MVP performance. I mean, he's just been lights out good this year, right? I had my prediction. First thing is first, SGA's MVP performance. I mean, he's been nothing short of amazing, right? The award was officially handed to him by Commissioner Alex Silver before Game 2 in OKC in front of a roaring home crowd. And SGA is living up to the hype. In Game 1, he dropped 38 points on Minnesota, slicing through the defense with that trademark change of pace and silky mid-range game that I saw right here in Sacramento. And through the first 2 games, SGA is averaging around 32 points and 7 assists with a true shooting percentage hovering in the 60s. And that is elite efficiency, my friends. Testament to his smart shot selection and ability to draw fouls. A lot of people like to say he's a foul merchant. I don't believe so. Minnesota has tried throwing a lot of length at him. Jaden McDaniels, one of the league's better young wing defenders, and he's been the primary matchup. And still, SGA is still finding ways to impact the game. Notably, he's been driving into the paint at will, around 19 and a half drives per game in these playoffs. And when the Wolves collapse on him, he's kicking out to open shooters. OKC actually leads all playoff teams in kick-out passes off of drives at 22.4 pass outs per game off those penetrations, showing how SGA's gravity is creating looks for his teammates. What Sam Presti did as a GM is what other teams should also try to do. That is build around your main star. And the Thunder have done just that. I thought it was a nice touch. SGA gave out Rolexes, iPhone, and Canada Goose jackets to his teammates. Up shot to a word to 2. All right, let's move on. Thunder's disruptive defense. The biggest storyline might be the Thunder's defense and aggression. They've been nothing short of elite. I think Tim Legler say that this is the best defensive team that we've seen since these Bulls. And I wasn't really around to watch those games live. I obviously know what the hell he's talking about because I've seen the tape and I've watched the games, and I don't disagree with him one single bit. OKC's young guns are swarming on that end. So far in the postseason, they've forced turnovers on 15.7% of opponents' possessions. That is the highest rate of any playoff team per NBC Sports. That trend continued in games 1 and 2. Minnesota coughed it up repeatedly, a lot of turnovers in games 1 and 2, with OKC's active hands turning bad passes into fast breaks. In fact, if you ask the Denver Nuggets how lethal those live ball turnovers can be, they learned that the hard way. We saw that several times, especially towards the end of that series with Alex Caruso. And Thunder's defenders like Lou Dort, more on him in a second here. And then again, Alex Caruso, the veteran, is now anchoring that second unit, and he'll pick your pocket if you're careless. We saw a prime example with Caruso's clutch steal leading to an SGA slam. The Wolves must take care of the ball against this on-ball pressure or things will get ugly fast in Game 3. Next point, Lou Dort versus Anthony Edwards. This has been the marquee matchup in this series. One delightful battle in this series has been Lou Dort guarding Ant-Man. And let me tell you, it's been physical. Lou, he's built like Derrick Henry. I'm obviously reaching a bit here, but my case in point is Dort's size is disrupting Ant. Dort has a reputation as one of the league's most tenacious on-ball defenders and arguably the best at hounding ball handlers on the perimeter. That's Luka. Edwards, on the other hand, is a newly minted All-NBA star in his own right, the engine of Minnesota's offense, and has been a freight train going to the rim, not to mention a streaky three-point sniper whenever he pulls up with the roof missing. 2 games, Dort has made Ant work for everything, absolutely everything. Edwards is getting his points. He's averaging about 28 a night so far in this series. I think he had 32 last game, but on tough efficiency. Dort's strength and lateral quickness is clearly bothering him. Minnesota has been trying to free Edwards with screens to shake off Dort, but here's a problem. Few defenders in the league fight through picks like Lou Dort. At times, he does flop a bit, which I'll keep it a buck. Sometimes he does flop. For a guy his size, he shouldn't be flopping like that. And even when they do manage to force off a switch, there are no easy targets in OKC's lineup for and to really exploit. As one analyst said, quote, there are no pigeons in the OKC core, close quote, per NBC Sports. Coach Mark for OKC has his team playing discipline, right? Swarming defense. They're content to make Ant-Man hit tough contested shots over Dort or double him at key moments to make someone else beat them. And I just think that that's a good recipe if you're OKC and the Thunder. Next point is J-Dub. After a somewhat inconsistent second round, he really struggled against Denver's defense, shooting only around 38% that series per NBC Sports. His shot selection during the last round really made me scratch my head. But you know what? We got to give him his flowers. Dub stepped up in that game number 7 because he needed to be. And he's been doing that for them in these conference finals. Remember, in game number 7 against Denver, he dropped 24 points on 10 of 17 shooting. And he's carried that confidence forward and needs to continue to do so. With so much attention on SGA, Dub's ability to slash and play make for his teammates has been absolutely vital. In game 2, for example, he quietly filled up the box score with a 26-point, 10 boards, 5 assists effort. Off catch whenever Minnesota loads up on SGA, and the Thunder's depth is a real factor. Coach Mark has been running a 10-man rotation for most of these playoffs per ESPN, using fresh legs to keep the defensive intensity high, which is a good recipe for success in my eyes. He shortened that to 8 in the previous Game 7 against Denver when absolutely necessary. Contrast that with Minnesota, who typically relies on the 8-man rotation with heavy minutes for their stars, Julius Randle, Anthony Edwards. And fatigue could really become an issue for the Timberwolves, honestly. Ant-Man is logging nearly 40 minutes a night this postseason per ESPN. The Thunder's bench, featuring guys like Cason Wallace who can handle the ball, but also can play lockdown defense, and defensive spark plugs like Caruso, who can throw different looks at Minnesota, disrupting the bigs really in vulnerable areas like damn near half court. Through the first 2 games, OKC's bench has actually outscored Minnesota, and their energy has really helped the Thunder push the pace at every opportunity. Next point that I want to make here is battle the bigs. A surprising development has been in the paint. The Timberwolves have the towering Rudy Gobert man in the middle, but OKC has not been punked inside like some feared. Chet Holmgren, in his first season, is holding it down defensively. And I'm really proud of Chet, because to go through what he went through really early on in his career, I mean, injuries like that can really take a toll on the mental. Going through it myself, obviously not at this kind of level, but though giving up a lot of weight to Rudy, Chet's length is altering shots, and he's averaging around 3 blocks in this series and countless more altered attempts at the rim. OKC even added Isaiah Hartenstein, or iHeart, as I'm told is what the dudes over there refer him to, a bruising 7-footer to their front court rotation late this season. Obviously started off the season on the sidelines, which means Rudy can't camp in the paint like he normally does. He's had to navigate both the finesse of Chet and the physical box outs of Isaiah Hartenstein. Rudy did have a monster 27-point, 24-rebound game against the Lakers to close them out, but in this conference finals, he's been a lot quieter. I know they played Golden State last year, but he's been a lot quieter. The Thunder strategy has been very clear from the start. Attack him in space. Those snake screens that we saw through games 1 and 2 is just to get him really high up, to get him out of the paint, and then attack him. Beat him off the dribble, or try to make it those snake screens high up, top of the paint, to get Rudy out of the paint and attack him, beat him off the dribble, or try to take it to the cup and draw a foul if you can, or dish it out. Pushing on the pedal is what this OKC Thunder team does. SGA and Dub, they're pulling Gobert into pick and rolls, then either driving at him to draw help or dishing when Rudy commits. Simple as that. They know Rudy is a elite rim protector. But also, if they move the ball quickly, they can get layups if he's put out a little too far or out of position. Smart strategy from OKC. It's a high-stakes game for Rudy. He has to dominate the paint for Minnesota to have a chance. Him and Julius Randle, they got to show up in this series if these guys have any chance of making somewhat of a comeback, which I don't think they will. Right now, so far, advantage OKC. And I always see people talking shit about Rudy, this, that, and the third, and talking about how much money he makes and the production is not there. Let me just squash that real quick. If you could have Rudy Gobert on your team, you would. Imagine if this guy could shoot threes. Man. All right, last point on this series, and then we'll move on to the next one. Coaching and adjustments. So tactically, Mark is pressing on all the right buttons for OKC. He's mixed in some zones, which essentially is just trying to disrupt the Timberwolves defense, very much like Denver did in the last series. I heard J-Dub talking about it was very refreshing to see a different look after going through 7 games with Denver playing zone all series long. Obviously, the man is what some of the looks that they're getting. Mark's been very smart in using his timeouts to kill off Minnesota's runs, which is a very smart and tactical decision from him. Meanwhile, Chris Finch, the only coach that I've actually chatted with this whole entire season over at the Sawyer, if you're not from Sacramento, that's the team hotel. But he has a lot to figure out as the series shifts back to Minnesota. One adjustment that the Timberwolves might consider is leveraging Karl Anthony Towns more. Oh, wait, that's right. Towns is no longer on the Wolves. More on that in a second when we talk about the East. That was deliberate, by the way. In his absence, much of the scoring load is on Ant. Finchie might try getting Mike Conley and Naz Reid more involved offensively to punish the Thunder when they load up on Ant. To add to that, why not, if you're Finchie, maybe you start Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I mean, he's younger. He's hungry against his blood in SGA. He had 17 points last game, 3 for 4 from deep, and shot 62% from the field. He's a disruptor on defense. He picks up silly fouls and can be ultra aggressive at times, I must admit. But if you're Finchie, maybe you try that and see how that goes for you in game 3. Also, look for the Timberwolves to try playing smaller but faster lineups in spurts. Perhaps maybe having Jaden at the 4 and Naz at the 5 whenever Rudy goes to the bench to see if they can spread OKC's defense and create driving lanes. Defensively, Minnesota might experiment with trapping SGA early to force the ball out of his hands, even at the risk of those kickout passes. So far, OKC has picked them apart whenever the Timberwolves defense collapses inward. It's truly been a clinic in execution by the Thunder on both ends. In summary, the Thunder have been dominant. They're playing beyond their years. And remember, guys, this is the youngest roster in the NBA playoffs. Average age is around 24.6 per ESPN. Yet they're executing like season contenders. I think they're going to just run away with this, guys, if I'm just keeping it a buck. It's no wonder some are already saying OKC might be the team to beat in the West for years to come. I honestly don't see any team right now beating this OKC team in these playoffs. The Timberwolves are a resilient bunch. They didn't get here by accident. They started off the year kind of rocky and picked it up towards the end of the season, past the All-Star break. But going down 0-2 on the road, and now they're heading back home, and they must avoid losing game 3, or this thing is over in a sweep after game 4. If Minnesota cannot take game 3, this is over fast. As of right now, SGA and the Thunder look poised to continue their improbable run to the finals, with the MVP, 2, leading the way. Let's now move on to the East. Over in the Eastern Conference, we have an old school matchup with new characters, the Indiana Pacers versus the New York Knickerbockers. And guess what? The Pacers lead the series 2-0, having stunned the Knicks with 2 wins at MSG. Talk about flip-flopping home court advantage on its head. This series has its history. Reggie Miller versus the New York Knicks. Anyone? Spike Lee might be having flashbacks sitting courtside over there at MSG, but it's also very much about the present. Let's unpack the storyline so far. First thing is first, it's been the Halliburton show and Pascal. Wow, him in there. The Pacers are powered by Tyrese Halliburton, the Olympian this past summer. Reese has been nothing short of spectacular in these playoffs and one of the most clutch players in the NBA alongside Jalen Brunson. In the first two games in New York, he has averaged 23 points and 13 assists, orchestrating Indiana's high-octane offense to near perfection. Perhaps most impressively, he's kept his turnovers to a minimum. He had a pretty good streak during the regular season, if you guys can remember, which is nothing new for Reeves. Among high assist playmakers, Halliburton had one of the lowest turnover rates in the league this year per ESPN. He's carried that poise into the postseason as well. The Knicks have thrown multiple defenders at him. Bridges and Hart, they've both taken turns trying to harass Halliburton on the perimeter. Since relying on JB to chase him around isn't ideal for New York. Despite their efforts, Halliburton's decision-making has dissected the Knicks' defense. He's been lethal in transition. Every Knicks missed shot or turnover, especially in the corner, Halliburton is pushing the pace immediately, running and gunning. He's especially lethal in transition. Every Knicks missed shot or turnover, especially in the corner three, Halliburton is pushing the tempo immediately. We saw the outlet pass that led to a dunk in game two. That's Indiana's identity. Run. They're one of the fastest teams in the NBA in the regular season, top 5 in pace per stat views. This has forced the New York Knicks into a track meet they aren't entirely comfortable with. Honestly, you do not want to be running with the Pacers. They'll go up and down that floor. Those guys are in great shape. At game two, for instance, the Pacers poured in 30 fast break points, catching New York's defense sleeping and retreating or mismatched. Reese's vision has picked them apart, whether it's a hit head pass to a leaking Aaron Nesmith or a no-look dime to a trailer for a quick three. Next point, it's like heroes in hot hands. Indiana's 2-0 lead isn't just Nesmith has deserved a big shout out as well. The Knicks left him open a lot in game number one, and he made them pay. He had a career at 30 points on just 13 shots. That is elite, folks. And he went 8 for 9 from 3, 6 of those being in the last 5 minutes of the game. Not as many attempts in game two, only 3 and made 2 of them, but still contributed with 12 points. Let's talk about the other big man now, Miles Turner. The Pacers' big man has been quietly impactful. He's putting on a solid 6.5 points, 6 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks per game this postseason per NBC Sports. And his rim protection is a huge reason the Knicks haven't been able to get easy buckets inside that they're typically accustomed to. In game two, Turner had a highlight sequence where he blocked a drive, then sprinted down and hit a trail three on the other end. A 5-point swing in that play. This series has given us an intriguing matchup. Karl Anthony Towns versus Miles Turner at the center position. The sketchy scoring big versus the defensive specialist. I can't forget about the big man as well, Pascal Siakam. You guys might be thinking, how come I didn't talk about him at the top of the chat about this series? He torched the Knicks for 39 points, almost a 40 ball on 65% shooting from the field at MSG. The Cameroonian is fundamentally sound, much like what the TNT crew was saying after the game, is you don't really have to draw a play for Pascal. He can go out and get his own. He's that efficient, and he was ultra aggressive from the start and really set the pace for the game for these Indiana Pacers. He put his head down, got to the cup, got his shots to go in the mid-range. He can kill you in all different positions. He can back you down, create a play for his teammates, or take it to the cup and get his. And you know what, guys? He only got 4 votes for All-NBA third team. And that just brings home the point of how underrated 43 is for this Indiana Pacers team. He's not a popular player. He made the All-Star team. He's made a couple, actually. This is not the biggest market for the NBA, right? It's in the central region of the country, very similar to OKC. That's actually my prediction for the NBA Finals before even this series started. Those are the teams that I had. The former Raptors big man previously won a championship there in the 6th, and he brings that championship pedigree to this Pacers team. Some are still salty here in Sac that he didn't even want to take a meeting with the Kings. Anyway, to my next point. Next here is the Knicks offense, JB's burden, and Karl Anthony Towns' adjustment. So on the Knicks side, offense has been a bit disjointed, as we can see so far 2 games in. Jalen Brunson is the engine, and he's been doing his thing, especially late towards that fourth quarter in the last couple of minutes of game 2. And he had, 43 points first game, and he's been doing his thing with crafty drives and pull-up jumpers, averaging 26 points in this series. Indiana Pacers are making him work. I do admit sometimes JB goes down a little bit too easily and needs to stay on his feet. That's one criticism that I have of JB. He's just on the floor too much sometimes. He's got to toughen up, and that's the identity of this team, him and Josh Hart. But sometimes it just goes down a little bit too easy. And they're sending size of Brunson. Often 6'6" Aaron Naismith or the other 6'6" Ben Shepherd guards would take turns guarding it, using length to contest his shots. That last three was not a good look for JB, and neither was the one that he took before that, which I think Van Gundy was also saying he rushed that shot because he thought maybe they were going to foul him. So he just wanted to throw up a heat. But the Pacers are also mixing coverages, right? Sometimes a hard hedge to get the ball out of JB's hands. Other times a drop coverage to entice him into a mid-range shot where he's good. But it at least keeps him off the rim and the free throw line. And for Cat, his game one was relatively quiet, right? 15 points, foul trouble, but it bounced back in game number two with 28 points and 12 rebounds, reminding everyone why he's a two-time All-NBA talent. Cat presents a matchup problem for Indiana. When he pops up for those threes, Turner has to step out, which can open up the lane for cutters or easy bucket at the rim. In fact, New York found some success in the third quarter of game number two, running pick and pop with JB and Cat. Towns hit a couple of three-pointers to pull the Knicks a little closer, but here's the flip side of that. Cat can struggle defensively, especially in the pick and roll. Pacers have hunted Cat in pick and roll. The Pacers have repeatedly gotten switches to force Cat onto a guard, then attack him off the dribble. Tibbs started to counter this by using Mitchell Robinson, the big man, more when defending those actions. Having Robinson play drop coverage while Towns slides to the forward position defensively. The one downside of having Mitchell Robinson is he's not a great free throw shooter. That's why we saw Halliburton foul him, and Rick Carlisle had a good game plan. We saw him go 1 for 2 at one stretch, and you throw your cards and see what happens. And I think it worked to the Indiana Pacers' advantage. It's a cat and mouse game. So far, Indiana has exploited those defensive wrinkles, whether it's Reese is pulling up for an open three when Robinson's 6'2". So far, Indiana has exploited those defensive wrinkles, whether it's Reese pulling up for an open three when Robinson sinks a little bit too deep, or dumping it to Turner when Towns is late on the rotation. The Pacers' offensive rating in this series is through the roof. Well over 120 points per 100 possessions. That's fucking amazing. Indicating New York hasn't found answers for that yet. Let's see if Tibbs has something for that ass in game number 3. The next point, deep reds and adjustments. Defensively, the Pacers came in with a solid game plan, packed the paint against the Knicks, and lived with the results. They know Brunson will get his mid-range looks, but they've also been swarming anytime he or Josh Hart get near the rim. The Pacers have also been gambling a bit, jumping passing lanes and going for the strips, and it's paid off. They've generated a few runouts each game by poking the ball away from Knicks ball handlers. Halliburton himself had a highlight steal on a lazy cross-court pass by JB, which he then took on the other end for a dunk. However, playing aggressive comes with a cost. The Pacers have been fouling a lot. In fact, the Pacers have allowed more free throws than they've taken in these playoffs. Same for the Knicks and the Timberwolves, per ESPN. They're willing to live with a few extra fouls if it means playing hard-nosed defense. That's the trade-off that you get. And so far, it's been worth it for them so far. Let's continue to see if that happens in Game 3 tomorrow, Sunday. It's something to watch if the Knicks start making a concrete effort to attack and draw contact. The Pacers might give them 3 points in the lane if they're a little bit too handsy. On the Knicks side, Tibbs might need to adjust his rotations heading into Game 3. We could see more of Miles McBride to provide another ball handler and shooter. He logged 25 minutes in game number 2. I think Tibbs might try different lineups in this game number 3 tomorrow to speed up and spread the floor, especially if Mitchell Robinson's lack of offense is letting Indiana clog the paint. As it stands, the Pacers' ability to push tempo is negating a lot of the Knicks' half-court defensive schemes so far. Last point here on this series is the psychological edge. A quick note on the intangibles. This series got a little chippy at the end of game number 1. The MSG crowd was riding Reese with a overrated chance after he missed a couple free throws late in that fourth quarter. In his response, Reese shuts the crowd when he thought he hit a game-winning 3. That was an incredible shot. Honestly, when the ball goes up that high, there's not a good chance that actually goes in, and it did go in. The only thing for the Pacers is his foot was on the line, but that doesn't matter because they got the dub. Him doing the choking sign, a bold move that immediately drew comparisons of Reggie Miller's legendary Garden antics. After the game, Halliburton downplayed it, but You can sense a growing rivalry here, especially after last year's series as well. There's a history between these two franchises. They met a couple times in the 90s, and now there's some modern spice to it as well. The Pacers have a ton of confidence right now, and stealing game number 2 at MSG only amplifies the swagger that those guys have. The Big Diesel had to say he is sorry, condolences after game number 2 to Reese, thinking that maybe they weren't taking it serious enough, and the Knicks lost. The Knicks, conversely, they looked shell-shocked as they left game number 2 heading into Indiana. This is not what their rabid fan base expected to see after a 50-plus win season and being the favorites on paper. I just thought that I'd still think that the Pacers are too much for the Knicks. The Pacers want to run all game, and that's the opposite of what the Knicks want. Knicks want to play half-court offense. Coach Tibbs will need to rally his squad to restore the defensive identity and grit, which they've always been known for. As the series shifts to Indiana, the pressure actually shifts to the Pacers, right? Can the young guns handle prosperity and close the deal on their home floor? Or will the Knicks respond now that their backs are against the wall? At 2-0, the Pacers are in the driver's seat. Rick Carlisle has done a masterful job coaching the Pacers team, making adjustments like inserting Naismith into the starting lineup and drawing up some beautiful after timeout plays like the alley-oop set for Obi Toppin in game number 1 was a thing of beauty. If the Pacers can keep playing their style, fast, unselfish, and fearless, they have a really good chance to make the NBA Finals against the OKC Thunder. Obviously, the Thunder are not there yet, but I think that they will, which would have been unthinkable at the start of the year for a team that won 35 games last season. But as we know, a series doesn't truly start until the road team wins, and the Pacers already did that twice. Buckle up, because the Garden might not have seen the last of this matchup. All right, last section of the pod here. NBA awards, MVP, All-NBA, All-Defense, and All-Rookie. That has all been announced. While the conference finals take center stage, the 2024-25 season awards have been rolled out. And there's a lot to unpack here, guys. Let's shift gears for a moment and react to those announcements and how they intertwine with what we're seeing on the court. First things first, MVP. The MVP is none other than SGA from Canada. SGA winning MVP is a landmark moment. It's his first MVP, and doing so, he became the first Canadian player to ever earn the award. He led OKC to a terrific regular season at the top of the board and was simply sublime individually. The voting wasn't SGA winning the award with Denver's Jokic finishing up as runner-up. Jokic, by the way, has now been top 2 in MVP voting 5 years in a row. Truly elite consistency there. It's poetic that these playoffs had SGA and Jokic crossing paths last series. Of course, Jokic's Nuggets fell to SGA's Thunder in a thrilling 7-game second-round series, which we all enjoyed. And former head coach of the Denver Nuggets, Michael Malone, has been doing a little bit more TV now, and he even admitted, open quotes, SGA played at MVP level, close quote, in that game number 1 that set the tone. Also notable, SGA received the MVP trophy at center court right before game number 2, which I posted on my Instagram, Shot Clock Scribbles Podcast at home. And you can see the emotion and pride in that OKC crowd. They were really happy to see their number 1 hoist up that trophy, Michael Jordan trophy. He then proceeded to drop a near triple-double. That's just what he does in his sleep. That's an MVP doubling down on his accolades with performance. Truly elite. All right, all NBA teams. All NBA teams just got announced yesterday on Friday. The all NBA teams were also announced, and they reflect a changing of the guard in some ways. All NBA first team included the top 5 MVP goal-getters: SGA, Jokic, Giannis, Tatum, and perhaps to some, Donovan Mitchell. A lot of people thought Ed should be in there. What do you guys have to say out there? Do you guys think Anthony Edwards should be in the first team? Put it in your comments. Send me a message. Would love to hear what you guys got to say. But Spida gets that spot. Donovan Mitchell's inclusion might raise eyebrows, but it's hard to argue. He led the Cavs to a NBA best 64 wins this year and was absolutely on fire all season. Obviously, those guys lost last series. That's one of the biggest collapses that we've seen as far as the number 1 seed going out the way that they did. He's become the undisputed alpha in Cleveland and had the best season of his career. He decided to stay there. A lot of people thought he was going to opt out and go somewhere else. And for Giannis and Tatum, business as usual. Tatum going down. Hate to see that. Giannis, a lot of questions surrounding him. But Giannis now has 7 straight first team selections per ESPN. And Tatum, 4 straight. On the second team, we saw a mix of established superstars and rising talent. Steph Curry, LeBron James found their spots there, proving that even late in their 30s, well, Steph is in his 30s, LeBron is in his 40s, they're still elite. And it was LeBron's record first All-NBA nod, adding to his own legend. That's the most ever. They were joined by Evan Mobley, Anthony Edwards, and Jalen Brunson. Mobley is a notable one. He not only made the second team in just his 3rd year, he also won the Defensive Player of the Year award. We'll get to that. And is clearly blossoming into a 2-way force for the Cavs. Hate to see the injury that he had last series. He clearly was not 100%. Ant and Brunson each made All-NBA for the second time. For Ant, that solidifies his ascendance as a top 10 player. For JB, it validates the Knicks' belief that he is a franchise point guard. He was tremendous this year. I saw him in the preseason against Anthony Edwards. How ironic. Averaging career highs and leading the New York Knicks to a top 3 seed in the East. Moving to the third team, we saw some fresh faces. J-Dub, or Jalen Williams. Yes, the Thunder's do-it-all swingman made his first All-NBA in just his sophomore season, a testament to OKC's rise and his impact across the stat sheet. Let's go to D-Town, Detroit. Cade Cunningham, the Pistons' young star. He had a breakout year, and his third team selection triggers a Supermax contract kicker, netting him an extra $45 million. Man, congrats to Cade. Love to see that. Karl Anthony Towns, now a Knick, quietly had a stellar year. Well, not so quiet because made the All-Star game, right? His third All-NBA selection, and you can bet that the Knicks don't get here without Karl Anthony Towns. I feel like he has to show up a little bit more for his team, though, in these playoffs. They need him and JB, along with the other guys, to help along the way. James Harden, back on the All-NBA for the first time since 2020 after an eventful last couple of years. With Kawhi going down, he had to be the number 1 a lot this past season. Those guys, I had them winning the series against the Nuggets, but they clearly didn't do that. Harden really found himself in a groove this past season, being the Clippers' floor general. And next, Tyrese Halliburton, the Pacers star that we just talked about a lot. He gets his due with a third team selection. His third All-NBA in a row. Yes, he's that good. And the whole league has been noticing. Played too much during the Olympics, but the guy can play. And it's worth noting how many of these All-NBA players were seen deep in the playoffs. SGA, Jokic, Edwards, Brunson, Towns, Halliburton. The league's future is now, and the awards reflect that. Let's move on now to the all-defensive teams. Defense wins championships, and the all-defensive teams highlighted some familiar lockdown names that a lot of people are accustomed to, and some others not so much, but you should. Evan Mobley headlined the all-defensive first team. No surprise there since he was named Defensive Player of the Year at just 23 years old. He anchored Cleveland's number 1 ranked defense in the regular season. Joining Mobley on the first team was Lou Dort from OKC, whom we just talked about a lot earlier as well. Draymond Green, Dyson Daniels, and Amen Thompson. That's a fascinating mix. Dort we've talked about. He's an on-ball menace and finally got the league-wide recognition with the first team nod. A lot of fans in OKC are really happy because it's a crime that he hasn't been on this team before. Draymond is Draymond. This is his 5th first team all-defensive nod, showing that he's still going strong for the Golden State Warriors up on Highway 80 here. The other two, Dyson Daniels and Amen Thompson, are young guns. Dyson from Australia, a second-year guard with Atlanta, was with the Pelicans last year, and Thompson, a sophomore guard with Houston, are both 21 and made huge defensive impacts on their teams this past season. Seeing them on the first team tells you that the league's next generation of perimeter stoppers have arrived. On the second team, all defense, we had Jaren Jackson Jr., last year's Defensive Player of the Year from Memphis, Tennessee, still a shot-blocking force. Rudy Gobert, no longer the peripheral. Next, Rudy Gobert, the Timberwolves center, remains a defensive anchor and gets a nod here. Big Zoo, Ivica Zubac, the Clippers' big man, was a bit of a surprise selection, but he had a terrific year protecting the rim and rebounding, hence making the second team. Honestly, I think he deserves to be on this list. Toumani Camara, perhaps the most surprising name, Up in the Pacific Northwest, above here, Kamara, a rookie turned sophomore forward for Portland, made his mark as a versatile defender and earned his honor. J-Dub from OKC. J-Dub, apparently the man can do everything, even defense. He made second team all defense as a guard slash wing, meaning the Thunder had two all defensive players. Yes, you got that right. Dort on the first team and J-Dub on the second. A huge testament to their improvement on that end of the floor. Notably absent, some usual suspects like Drew Holiday, who got injured towards the end of the season and is being rumored as a potential interest here in Sacramento, or Bridges in New York, who were just edged out in voting this year. The youthful flavor of the all defensive selections with guys like Dyson Daniels, Amin Thompson, and J-Dub underscores how some younger teams like the Thunder and Hawks have prioritized two-way players. And those are the players that are really coveted right now in the NBA. If you can play on both sides of the ball and be effective for your team in getting dubs. Let's move on. All rookie teams. Lastly, let's celebrate the youngsters. The all rookie first team was highlighted by Rookie of the Year, Stephon Castle of the Spurs. Castle was the 4th overall pick in the 2024 draft, and he made an immediate impact in the San Antonio backcourt, averaging 17 points and 5 assists. For those that say that winning the Rising Stars doesn't mean anything, to win that as an MVP, get off my timeline. I'm kidding, but I'm just trying to say that it means something. He actually made history for the Spurs. This is San Antonio's second straight Rookie of the Year, coming on the heels of Victor Wembanyama winning it last season. Castle received 92 out of 100 first-round place votes. A dominant win for Rookie of the Year. Wasn't even close. The runner-up in Rookie of the Year was Zachary Rissache of the Atlanta Hawks. You might not have heard this name very much this season, but you guys better get used to it because the boy can play. Rissache was actually the number 1 overall pick in last year's draft, and Atlanta won the lottery and selected the 6'9" French forward. And he showed flashes of star potential with his smooth shooting and defensive versatility. He got better towards the end of the season, which means big things to come in the ATL. Third in Rookie of the Year voting was Sacramento native Jalen Wells of the Grizzlies, an under-the-radar rookie who exceeded expectations, honestly, and took some people's jobs. Well done. Memphis picked him late in the first round, and he ended up starting many games due to injuries that the team had this past season, and he impressed everyone with his poise and scoring instincts. These three, Castle, Rissache, and Wells, all made the all-rookie first team. Rounding out that first team was big man Donovan Clingan, the rookie center. Donovan was the 7th pick out of UConn, and at 7'2", he became an instant rim protector for the Blazers, leading all rookies in blocks, 1.6, and even moving into the Blazers starting unit mid-season. His defense earned him a lot on recognition. He was ranked as a top 5 rookie by this year's end. The final spot went to Alex Sarr, the big man for the Washington Wizards. The all-rookie second team featured the next batch of promising rooks like Zach Edey, the 7'4" center out of Purdue, a second-round pick who became a fan favorite there in Memphis. Reed Shepherd, Devin Carter, and others who made their mark in spurts. But in sum, despite pre-draft chatter that this class was weak, which I said as well, the rookie 2024 rookies proved that they belong. From Castle's polishing scoring or Rissache's upside, we saw a lot of the young talent acclimate very quickly. And many of these rookies are in great development situations. Castle next to Victor Wembanyama, Rissache on a rising Hawk squad. Let's see what happens to Trae Young. Clingan in Portland's young core future. The future looks very bright for them. I previously said that Chauncey Billups was going to get canned, and they're keeping him. The Blazers had an announcement the other week. Let's see what happens with the Blazers. Sounds like maybe they might be selling the team. I hope they stay in Portland because that's not too far away from us here in the Pacific Northwest. In connecting these awards to these playoffs and the conference finals as well, I mean, a lot of those names were on the list that I just talked about. SGA, Edwards, Brunson, Towns, Halliburton, Dort, J-Dub. All these players are competing right now for a title, and it's no coincidence the league's elite rise to the top. The awards also show how teams like OKC and the Pacers have built through youth. Both had players snag honors, OKC especially with MVP, All-NBA, All-Defense, and an All-Rookie in Jalen Williams last year. It validates their strategies and why they are where they are. As we wind down on this episode of the Shot Clock Scribbles, I appreciate every single one of you guys to listening all the way throughout. These finals honestly have been very fun to watch. And although both of these series are 2-0 apiece, I don't think everything is done just yet. I am picking the OKC Thunder to win it, though. It just really shows you that the Pacers, a team that was not on very many folks' radar to being in the finals, are very close to that. The Timberwolves and Knicks, meanwhile, are also tasked with responding to adversity. They have the talent to flip the script. This year is not done. We also took a step back to acknowledge the individuals who shined all season. Congratulations to SGA on winning MVP, a truly deserved accolade for a player who has ascended to top tier level. 2 is something special, 100%. Kudos to all the All-NBA and all defensive team selections. It's been a season where the young stars, literally in some cases, like 21-year-old Evan Mobley, have taken the torch through the old guard of LeBron and Steph Curry. Remind us that they're not done yet. A round of applause for the rookies, especially Stephon Castle. The kids are going to be just A-okay. From here, the focus shifts fully back to the court. Will we see the Thunders and Pacers continue their dream and meet each other in the finals, or will the Wolves and Knicks fight back to rewrite the ending? It's getting the next week of games will tell us. One thing's for sure, we'll be here to break it all down with stats, storylines, and scribbles every step of the way. Thanks for tuning in to this special conference finals edition and all NBA, all defensive, and all rookie selections of Shot Clock Scribbles. If you love all this insight, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram, Shot Clock Scribbles Podcast, on TikTok, Shot Clock Scribbles Podcast, on YouTube, Tendai 530. That's TENDAI 530. Appreciate every single one of you guys for listening, and I'll make sure I come back with some more heat. Appreciate y'all. I'm out.